courts, and I want to say thank you so much, all of you, for giving us the 3 courts. We are so happy for it. My name is Julie Harris, by the way. Sorry. I was trying to find out without stopping you. But we are very appreciative for the tennis courts, and so happy. I guess our question is, we have worked so hard, and I know I have captained the first tennis team in LJ here, and still do. And I feel like 3 courts are going to limit us as far as growth, as far as tournaments, things like that. And I guess our question is, can we build another court in the future? If we do fundraisers and things like that, is that possible?
I mean, yes, it's possible. It's possible. As far as like tournaments and stuff, you know, with the school system, I'm not checking the superintendent, but say for y'all evening league play, you know, if it's not taking place during the school event up there, and we've got a binding facility agreement to where we can use that facility up there if y'all's program runs through our recreation department. So that adds 4 courts right there.
And that's fantastic, because I have tried using their courts in the past, and they've never let us use them.
Yeah, but the way our agreements work is if y'all's program actually runs through our department, then we have a facility use agreement with them to where we can use the facilities as long as a high school event's not taking place. You know, so if we got our 3 courts and y'all are wanting to have a host a tournament, then we can run that tournament through us, and then, you know, split the proceeds or whatever, and then that gives us 7 courts instead of 3.
That's awesome.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. That's
But now
perfect.
that would have to be for tournaments and such, and not necessarily for practice play, right?
Probably not for practice play, but like if y'all had if y'all had a Tuesday night that y'all wanted league play, then I could probably set it up to where, you know, with our user agreement, to where we'd have all 7 courts going if we got that many, you know.
No, that's a great solution.
And rarely do they ever use the tennis courts on Saturday morning at the high school. So if you're
Or
a
Sundays.
Saturday or Sunday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because a lot of league stuff ends up being Sundays.
Yeah, so all it is to where, you know, where my staff members have to put their stuff on, get everything set up and go. That's,
And it's right across the street. So
yeah.
that's a win-win situation.
Yeah, it's just, that's all it is.
What's the cost to do that, Kevin, to be part of Parks and Rec for the community before that? I mean, I know you gotta have some operating costs.
Well, and if we'll provide that service for you guys, if that's what y'all want.
We just got for you to figure out how to get this through.
Yeah. There might be just a little bit of administrative cost, but it wouldn't be much else.
Should they set up similar to the soccer or track or that kind of thing through you?
Yeah, y'all could actually set up an organization to go ahead and get you a general liability policy, and that would name county as one of the beneficiaries. And you could probably do that for $200 a year. Thanks, but you know, that would be all that we would need in order to make it all right.
Is there a way for them to see what, with that agreement that you have with track, or to kind of base what they should put together for you, or?
Well, actually, I've got a standard form that I've used that we use for the spring basketball.
Okay.
That goes through us. We use that same form. And it'd just be a simple, every member just fills out the registration form that becomes a tennis program through the registration form.
Okay. Every member as far as
Yeah,
just
your
local
team.
Yeah, your team wants,
Your team.
your team wants, yeah. And that way we can, you know, not have that information on hand, plus your liability policy as an organization. And that should be all we do.
Okay, and I can work with you on that, Kevin.
Yep.
That's awesome.
Yay.
That sounds really good.
I know.
It sounds really
What little communication does.
Hopefully it'll work.
And again, thanks to all of you. We sure appreciate everything that's been done.
Well, thank you for your patience. He did everything he could to make USDA work, and it's just not gonna work, so we all agreed, let's move on and cut him.
Yeah, I've just heard bits and pieces of all that, but yeah, I'm just happy to move forward.
I don't, like I told Charlie, I really don't want USTA to be branded on everything we have.
Isn't it, that's
And
really sad that that happened.
Yeah, I mean, it's-
The interesting thing here to me was, it was an engineering firm, I believe, that we were talking to. And in giving us a price, when they found out that we were, at that time, working with USDA, they said that they were gonna have to add a USDA fee. And we asked, what's the USDA fee? And essentially, it was an extra charge for putting up with USDA.
it's so hard to work with.
Obviously, so, and that is totally the reason of the delay, was trying to wait on them to respond and them to do, so it was not on county or Kevin. He has been pushing through every time they responded, but it was, so, we're now a year and a half, we've been dealing with that, right?
Yeah, I think we came, set with Charlie, what,
It's been a
almost
year
three?
and a half.
What, has it been a year and a half? I thought it
Well,
was like 2.5
March-
years.
March-
Well, it's been a year and a half that we've actually been trying to get the USDA grant, and we were working on tennis courts and trying to figure something out before then.
Yeah.
And at that time, we were thinking in terms of refurbishing the courts. But in the end, we felt that new courts would be a better solution.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Kevin, I haven't met you. I'm Dan Johnson, and I'm the president of the Mountain Tennis Association. Of course, we are a USDA organization, but we're basically a community tennis association. And just a little bit of history, I lived in LJ for 8 years, moved here from Atlanta in 2005, and my wife and I desperately looked for a place to play tennis. As a matter of fact, we played at the, used to be a lodge up there, it probably still is, in Buckhorn Estates where we live, and we'd go up there and just hit with each other. But the courts in the city down here were just really unserviceable. And eventually we moved to Blairsville because I was working at Union General Hospital, and that was in 2013. But I'm here just to thank you also, because we do have lots of tennis players, and the interest in tennis has grown definitely in Gilmer County. When we got here, we couldn't find a tennis player, nowhere. But through the efforts of a lot of us, we've grown to be a pretty substantial organization with about 200 tennis players. Now, that's over several counties. But I know that both Union County and Towns County have separate, well, the Union County pickleball courts, for example, are being built separately, and they'll be built in this next year. And I don't know if you've been to Towns County, but they have a whole facility just for pickleball up there. So we're really happy, Kevin and you guys, for helping us do this. And I can tell you they'll be fully utilized. I had a couple of things I was leaving with you. I know you all, you probably read the Times Courier, but there was an article here about the 2 tennis teams at the high school, the boys and girls teams, who were both undefeated during the season and they're going to the region, which is pretty unique to begin with. But I thought in reading in the article, I think Donna Parks is the coach, that here's 33 tennis players, and what are they going to do when they get out of high school? Now, some of them will go to college and never return, but so a lot of those people stay in the community. And in the past, I know that these ladies experience it, even though the high school courts are there, they can't play there. So I wonder what the students would do, or I was wondering what they would do once they graduate if they don't have access. So being able to access those courts at times would be wonderful. And I think any help you can, aid or give us to do that would be great. So I'm just here basically to say thank you. And I also have a question. Is there any kind of ETA or estimated time that the courts will be constructed? Is it? The reason I say that is I've been dealing with Larry Conley, who's the Parks and Administration Parks and Rec person up in Union County, and 2 years ago he said they were going to take the pickleball courts that are on our tennis courts and move them to a separate facility, and it's taken 2 years to get there, and now it's next year. I know how counties work, but and he was going to build a backboard, which we were going to contribute some money to, and that took 2 years too, but it's also built now, so I know how things move slowly sometimes. But I was just wondering if there is any estimated time for the construction to begin, or if you knew that, Kevin, or
kind of looking for when the weather breaks. We've actually started taking fencing down on the field where the courts are going. Right. But right now, it's just more a weather thing.
Right, that's it. Well, I won't take it, I won't take any more of your time, but I just thought I'd leave this with you. I only have one copy, but you may have seen this, you can Google it on the internet, but anytime you need health questions answered, always go to the Mayo Clinic. They're the experts. But this is just a survey that was done by Mayo Clinic with about 9,000 people over 25, and the statistics are incredible. But basically, the results of this said that tennis players live 10 years longer than anybody else. And that includes jogging, walking, pickleball is not even listed on here, which I was surprised to. But it was a 9-year study with about 80,000 British adults, and I thought I'd just leave it with you because it'd be interesting. So all of you should start playing tennis. That is if you want to live long.
I actually was part of this group starting, so I do play.
Anyway, I thought I'd just leave it
decided
with
to
you.
become
Thank you for your time. I hope I didn't bore you.
Keep it your spare time. I'll look at it. I'll look at it. It's gonna be
They didn't have
spare
anything,
time.
Thank you, Dan.
they didn't have anything here on life expectancy of faster.
So the good thing is you don't have to worry about jogging, you know, you just.
I will add, the study I saw was that if you were to walk regularly, you could be, over your lifetime, walk 5 years and extend your life 4 years. So in effect, you lost 1 year.
Dennis, did you have any other comments on the team?
No.
Anybody,
Here, thank you.
anybody else on the citizens wishing to speak?
Miriam Fleming, I'm the project manager at Carter's Lake. I wanted to thank you for the support with the resolution that you all passed last year for the bike trails on our project. I was able to leverage that as pressure on our planning division, and I have finally received a signed copy of the EA, so we are going to be able to continue those trails, and we're looking forward to getting classified as a biking center for Gilmer County by the construction of those additional trails. So,
Oh, that is
thank
great
you.
news, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here.
Anybody else? All right, well, we appreciate it, folks.
No, I'm just gonna wash
Well,
my
they
hands.
want
You can. Bye.
Almost done.
Thanks, Deb.
You guys ready? It's 10 o'clock.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
I think I have those nuts.
Yeah.
That's all right.
Okay. Discussion and possible action on equipment for jury rooms. I have talked with Stan recently, and I got a call Rob today. We're going to try to get together probably for part next week, just to coordinate between the counties. But I am going to confess, oh, and I should say too that I've asked Lloyd to be the project manager for that, because I found that without a project manager, these things just seem to sort of languish. So Lloyd's already started pulling his hair out, how long he's gonna look like me. But,
No comment.
okay. Wise idea. So we'll, Rob and Stan and I were having that discussion, but a concern that I have is I've seen some of the proposals, well, one specifically, and it basically says we're gonna need 3 583 X4s, and we're gonna need 2 X3 4 7 3s, and, you know, and 5 6 pages of that, and then a bottom line figure. Honestly, other than the bottom line figure, it doesn't mean a thing in the world to me. What I think we need is something that says we need a way to hook a laptop up here and see it up there, and it costs this. I don't care about the X3 4 5s and the whatever, you know. So I'm going to request from the vendors that they give us proposals that are more in line with here's the functionality that you need and here's what it costs, rather than just piece part a bunch of stuff that I have no idea what it is, what it's supposed to be doing.
Sure.
Now, we'll want that piece part too, but as an adjunct.
I had started trying to do that at one time and did put out a draft with a bunch of I don't know what I called it,
I think he's called it
objectives or, yeah, it was that, but it had more of, like you say, what function we wanted rather than what detailed hardware, software, and technology. And I agree with you, that's exactly. If we don't do that, the problem is, I see every one of the vendors, they have a solution, all of them have a solution, and they're gonna go fit that solution into our square peg, and they got a round, we got a round hole, and they got a square peg, and it just doesn't fit that way. So I agree with you. It's a functional view, not a hardware spec view that we really need to concentrate on. And I think judicial people need to be helping us with that, because they're there every day, using it.
We had a meeting set up, Judge Weaver was going to attend as well, and we'll set another one of those up. And I think we need to have that. Unfortunately, on the day of the meeting, one of us went to the doctor and tested positive for the flu. And so we didn't want to bring all the others in and have them test positive for the flu. So we had to focus on that. So we'll try to reschedule that meeting, and I'll be meeting with Stan and Rob to try to coordinate between the three candidates. So that we can all be pretty much here.
I got a question. Is there anybody like BJ or somebody like that that knows what we have in the courtroom now, might be able to tell us, you know, this does this or this does that?
DJ can do that.
Okay.
And he has already inventoried everything there as part of this project, so
Okay.
he'd be a good person to talk to.
Okay, I'll get with him.
Okay.
Thank you.
And do you have any notes you might want to share?
I have some folder that I can just throw at you,
So you
Okay.
want,
more than you'll ever want to know.
Yeah, I understand. More than I'll ever read, I'll be honest.
and you probably have
I'll be happy to unload that.
All right, I'll let you sometime. Yeah. Thank you.
Oh, I guess that's the next one.
Well, unless we have anything else there, we'll move on to the next item, which will be appointment of members of Kids Cottage.
Can I back up, Charlie? I
Yeah.
apologize, but I thought Jim would be here. I've had the question about Ridgeway Church Road every week. Can we give any estimated time when we think we'll get that project finished? I know we're starting to do some dirt, grubbing. I just look at people want to know when.
The only thing I can tell you is that it will be completed as part of the paving this spring and summer. I think the Amcalola is pretty much done with the proposal, not quite almost. And that's the only real big hole that's going to make in progress. When I say on a big hole, the big hole is on right. If we can get a few dry days in a row, we've got the 2018 and the 2019 paving that we have to do this year because the weather last year didn't let us make anything. The Ridgeway Church Road will be included as part of that, and it will be as close to the front as it can be given the prep work that we have to do. So in terms of, I can't say it'll be this week or that week, but it will be done as part of the overall paving this summer.
I think the problem that people keep hollering is on increased traffic during the summer that they get out there with camp and things, is causing the questions.
And I understand that, and it's been frustrating because it's been about 3 years. And all the
Legal,
everything, yeah. But the big thing there is, I think I heard somebody say we had like 170 days of rain last year, which, you know, sounds right to me because it's raining about every other day. We just even forgetting the paving on the gravel roads, the scraping and gravel and that sort of thing. We get these big rains and it just wipes these roads out, but we can't do anything until we get pretty days. And it's just, it has really hit the road part. So the only thing I can really tell these folks is that it for sure should be done with the paving this year. But beyond that, I can't be more specific.
Can I add one more question, whole business related? Any update or thing on Q Public's software for planning and zoning or anything new? Do we have a contract we'll be working on, or?
We don't have a contract yet, and I think what we're waiting on now is Lumpkin County. They're doing this installation in Lumpkin County. What we're going to do before we actually committed and signed the contract was let that finish and let them have a month or so with it, and we'll give us a report as to how they're working for it.
Okay. That's it, Charlie.
But I hope for that, because that'll be a very cost-effective solution to a persistent problem.
I would agree with
Excuse me, Charlie, can I mention one other thing? I thought Mike was gonna be here. The well is still ongoing at the golf course. And of course, it's a government job, so y'all just bear with us. We ran into a situation where that the office, quote, we don't have anybody that can issue a permit, so we gotta go to another office. Then they don't return phone calls, and they said by the end of the week, we should be getting some information. So anyway, but that's an ongoing project we are working on. So hopefully it'll be resolved soon.
I have a stamp that says, in my lifetime, it'll be.
I understand. I understand. So, anyway.
Well, the older I get, I'm not sure that's going to be.
That's
in my
good.
life.
And I will make this comment. I understand why the other well has not been permitted like it should have been, so.
You know, we tried just to get that well permitted.
That's what I'm talking
And
about.
we finally decided that it'd be easier and cheaper just to build a
Do
new
it,
well.
yeah.
Well, that's turned out not to be what we thought. And that's all I'm going to say about that. Okay, appointment of a member of the Kids Cottage. I believe it's Diane Scoggins' term is ending, and she is willing to serve again. So unless y'all have another hand, discussion of the meeting dates, discuss the 2020 budget. We probably need to go ahead and talk about that. We're pushing that for a few months. Normally, what we do is August, you usually ask for the departments to turn in
I
their,
usually give out the request sheets at, toward the end of August, and then give them about 3, 4 weeks
yeah.
to fill it out.
Okay, so what we usually do is they will return those to Sandy, and she will integrate that into a proposed budget, requested budget, I guess would be a better term. And then usually it's in October when we meet with all of the various departments. It's usually late October. I don't want to move the request for their proposed budgets too far earlier in August. I'm thinking if we could do our meetings with various departments the first part of October, and then we could have a couple of weeks, have a special call meeting, go over what's been done since then. And then wait another couple of weeks, we can either have another special call meeting, or we could integrate it into the November meeting. I would foresee maybe a couple of special call meetings. Usually we've had one, but there's no reason why we can't have 2 or even 3. And I think we can still work that into the same timeline, or if we back it up maybe 3 weeks or so. Primarily by making Sandy work 12, 14 hours a day and get this thing ready by the first part of October.
You usually do that time of year anyway. Yeah, maybe not 12, maybe not 14, maybe 12.
But what I would propose is, if we send these out, let's say mid-August, and ask for them back by mid-September.
I usually just need, a couple of weeks to
Yeah.
get everything into it.
And
And get respectable.
let's go ahead and schedule, we'll pick the time, maybe the first week of October. We usually schedule 3 days for this.
And I actually tried to move them up a little bit this past year, but we had some, training and some traveling and things like that going on, and it just didn't work out.
I think I wasn't in on this, but I kind of sat in on it.
Right.
I remember feeling just a little rushed of getting this information and then having to decide if we good with that. So having some more days in between, and if that's.
And that's why I would suggest 1 or 2 special call meetings after the October meeting. I think we have to do the October meetings and deal with departments first, before we can really do
Sure.
anything.
Sure.
But, so what I would suggest is, let's try to have those meetings the first week if possible of October. Rather than toward the end.
The first will be on a Tuesday. I think usually we try to do them Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
Okay.
Monday just kind of gives me a day to, Monday of that week that we start kind of gives me a day to get final things done.
So would the first, second, and third work out, you think? Then I'll have to check my calendar too. I don't know, but we're talking tentatively now anyway. But what I would suggest is let's try for the first, second, and third. And then let's plan on a special call meeting, let's say 2 weeks later. Actually, we wouldn't have to have a special call meeting 2 weeks later. It'll work out just about right for our regular meeting. So we can put it on the agenda for the regular meeting a couple of weeks after that. Then we can have a special call meeting a couple of weeks after that. I mean, we can take the time that we need.
The regular meeting would be the next week, would be the 10th.
Which I actually think that's fine too.
So much for
Yeah.
If that gives you
the work
time
session
you
would
need.
be, that should be fine. As long as y'all don't get mad at me if I don't have financial statements done for the meeting that month. That's the only thing I can see of conflict.
The big thing is going to be, and we don't know that at this point, how much is got to be trimmed from the budget. Because last year was probably we had to trim the least of any year since I've been here so far. Obviously, it goes faster the less you have to trim out of it. Previous years where we had to trim 2 million or 4 million out of the budget, what we found is that the first million goes pretty quickly and easily, and then after that, you're cutting pretty deep into people's needs. So the more we have to trim, the more difficult it might be to have something in a week.
Okay.
But that's something that we'll know when we do our October meetings, and we can either say, okay, we'll put it on the agenda for next week, or we won't, and we'll have a special call meeting in 2 weeks. I mean, that's strictly our call at that point. I think that the important thing is we have enough special call meetings that y'all have time to look it over, do whatever you need done with it. The objective, as I understand it, is when we okay the 2020 budget, nobody feels like they didn't have sufficient time to consider it. So I think we can do that just by sort of moving this thing up a couple of weeks. Honestly, I think we could have done it in previous years just by having more special call meetings, but we were trying to avoid special call meetings, and I don't think so much anymore.
And I would agree with Carleen that the crunch we get into is having to try and evaluate and figure out, where we stand on that budget and And that takes a lot of time, because you're looking at a bunch of departments and a bunch of numbers, and that takes time. So if we have a month, October basically, I think we're saying, where we're able to do more of that work, and then I think we're good, before we have to make it public.
Right.
Because we should be in a pretty good agreement before we have to publish it and make it official and proposed and all that. So that's where the crunch in time is for us.
Well, I think the thing is, in the past, probably, let's say if we did have a special call meeting, y'all might have gotten the proposed budget, proposed modification, a day or two before the special call meeting. Now, you did get them as quick as I could get them to you, but I think the solution to that is, instead of y'all getting them 2 days later, we have a special call meeting, y'all get them in a week later, we have a special call meeting, let's say. But, you know, to me, the thing is, for y'all to have sufficient time, you know, between the time you get the proposed changes and the special call meeting, so that you don't get it one day and you're trying to discuss it the next day. Does that sound? Okay.
Can I ask one? Ideally, if we were gonna hold the meetings with the departments on the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd of October, when would y'all want the proposed, or the requested budgets? When would y'all want me to get that information to y'all? 2 weeks? 1 week? I mean, 1 week probably isn't gonna be enough.
For the requested budget, I think as long as we can just get it the day before, because this is the requested budget. This is our starting.
That's when we, you start analyzing or start reviewing.
It's not,
That's up
You know,
to
it's
you,
like when you
basically,
start-
how long it takes you to put it together.
it's like when you start reading a book. I mean, you know, you can get the book one day and start the next day, but when you get about halfway through it, that's not a good analogy.
I just didn't know, well, I just didn't know how much time, you know, y'all would want to have to digest it before we start the meetings with the departments. If I send the request worksheets out by middle of August, and then request them back by mid-September, then that inevitably I have to call some and beg for them to bring them back.
You need a couple of weeks.
In my mind, as long as we can get them the day before for the initial request.
I'll try to get it before that.
Because that's not going to change.
But then we will have at least 24, I mean, a day to look kind of through to see, before we walk in the door.
Yeah.
I'm not sure we'll want that.
And then that gives us a couple of weeks to see how we're gonna cut or where we think we should deal with it. And then a couple special meetings to deal with, that's fine. I think that'll work, Charlie.
I think this past year we did, like, it was, if I remember correctly, it was the regular work session day, and then we did a budget discussion meeting that afternoon. So, I mean, if we have meetings the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, if we wanted to put it on the agenda for the work session that next week on the 9th, I mean.
Well, one of the things that we need to,
Or do a separate meeting, you know, that afternoon.
in the past, we've had the 3 days worth of meetings. And then I've kind of taken the budget and tried to cut whatever needs to be cut. We schedule a special meeting and I would give y'all the proposed budget. I think what we need to do is have our 3-day meetings with the various departments. And then, fairly quickly after that, I'd say no more than a week after that, have a call meeting amongst ourselves before I ever even start trying to cut. For us to go through together
that would
to
be good.
see, you know, where y'all feel that cuts should be made. And what I can do is, you know, I can come in and say, okay, well, you know, I look at this and I'm thinking maybe cut here, 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 and here, but y'all may have some other ideas of where it needs to be cut or whatever, so we need to have that meeting before I put together a proposed budget to give y'all. Because, really, y'all haven't had input into that proposed previously, and I think that would fix it.
And that's the time that we need to do our homework.
Yeah, so we have the 3-day meetings.
Sure.
We'll wait a week or so, everybody look at what we've got in the context of the meetings that we've had with the departments. Then we'll have a meeting to discuss how much needs to be cut, and where we feel that it should be cut, and so forth. And I will try to bring my proposals of where I think it should be cut, and y'all do the same.
Exactly.
And then we'll leave here. I'll try to put all that together into a unified proposed budget that we can look at together again. You think that would?
That sounds good.
Okay.
Let's all just go on with October 1st, 2nd, and 3rd on that calendar.
And
Be just my luck, I'll get back.
Well, that's, I mean, I think there's some training and stuff that goes on some in October too. isn't there?
There is, but hopefully not the first,
Yeah.
third.
We'll see.
and we need, at that time, like we did last year, we need to separate those capital and the
Oh,
other pieces and always do it that way, so
Yeah.
that'll help firm that up. And I think your request, they provide that capital feedback also, don't they? Okay. Well, we're good on that then. Let's go with it.
Okay. Sandy, does that timeline work for you?
Yes.
Okay. In terms of the quarterly budget amendments, we still need to push that out to the May meeting. But there are some things that I want to just kind of go ahead and throw out for y'all. We had talked about removing that tanker truck from the fire department capital budget in favor of turnout gear. We now have a fairly firm estimate of what it will cost for the turnout gear, and it's more than the truck. I think the truck was $210, the turnout gear will be about $270. There are some proposals from the fire department as to what can be swapped out to do that, and we'll discuss that. But right now, I just want y'all to give y'all a heads up on what's coming space-wise. The other thing is, if you recall, the ladder truck had gone down, and we were told that it could not be repaired, and that a new truck was going to be hundreds of thousands of dollars. We, of course, weren't able to put that into the 19 budget. Turns out, our new public safety director and fire chief have found a company that works on this type truck that has said that they can repair the truck for $39,000. They're telling me that they really do need the truck. And if we can get it repaired and back in service for $39,000, it sure beats, $750,000 for a used truck. So.
Is the chassis the nature of the problems, or?
No, it's the.
Body, or the equipment?
It's what they call a turntable on the ladder that turns on the ladder. And the problem initially was that the truck's old enough that,
It's not worth it.
well, not so much it's not worth it, but nobody can find anybody to repair it.
Okay.
But Keith has found somebody, has found an outfit out of Tennessee that works on that brand. And they have looked at it and said that they can repair it for $39,000. So what we're probably going to be doing is proposing some money to be moved around to accommodate the extra cost of the turnout gear and also have that truck repaired, put back in service. Not contemplating adding an additional cost to the budget, just moving some things around. Now, the next item is that we have allocated $60,000 for a replacement UPS unit in E911. That amount will be brought forward. But, and we did that because we had an estimate of $60,000 for the replacement. Well, of course, when we started getting serious about it, it turns out that, yeah, $60,000 is for the equipment, but that doesn't get you the labor. And of course, it's 2 years later, price is going up some anyway. Instead of $60,000 to replace it, it's going to be about $85,000. So we're going to have the discussion of an extra $25,000 there. At this point, I don't know where that's going to come from, but I'll try to figure out where we can swap things out. We have to have a reliable UPS unit in 911. There's just no option around it. So. If that guy was going to tell me where to fish about it, I'd be in trouble. One last thing I want to discuss is the Tabor House. Well, it's really kind of two separate conversations, but you know what, I'm going to, we can probably combine them into one, and if it turns out that way, we'll mark this up and off. What started as a leak in the roof at the Tabor House has sort of escalated. We had some very high winds, and one segment of that tin roof got blown up. And our original idea was, let's tack it back down. And that has turned into, we can't really tack it back down very well where it'll hold because the wood underneath it is rotten. Bottom line is the Tabor House is going to have a new roof. And in doing that, there's a lot of rotten wood and infrastructure that's going to have to be replaced with it. We have the situation inside that I believe y'all are aware of with the moisture where we have to have the dehydrators. And, hopefully I sent y'all the estimates on that. Yeah. The estimate on the dehydration unit, dehumidifier, I'm sorry, the dehumidification unit was not terribly bad. I think the low one was about $3,000. But of course, as with everything else with the Tabor House, it never stops there. It turns out that the electrical unit won't support a new dehumidifier, and the entire panel needs to be replaced. I have no idea what that would cost.
That's in addition to what we got.
There was just a note on there that should have been just a note that said the panel won't support it on those. Mainly that was in a cover letter from Leslie. That all three of them, well, two of the three, had indicated that the panel was not supported. So we need to replace that. One of them had indicated that he could work around it. I'm not sure how he could work around it, but. And apparently there is an infestation of rats. It's just sort of like opening Pandora's box. So, if we are going to keep the Tabor House viable, and that was actually the other Tabor House discussion. You know, we need to decide what we're gonna do with it. We're either gonna have to keep it viable, which means new roof, dehumidifier, new panel, whatever it takes. Or we're gonna have to decide we're gonna abandon it. Now, that's not, you know, that's dirty work to a lot of people. But we're gonna have to make that choice. If we're not gonna abandon it, we've got to fix it. It's gonna take a lot of money. And the only place I see that money coming from is the money that we set back for building improvements and new buildings from the building authority. I know there was a lot of discussion a while back on whether the building authority owned the Tabor House or whether the county did. I think it finally came down on the building authority simply because the Tabor House is listed on the bonds. It's collateral.
I think that's right, David knows, but I think that's right. I think the other aspect of that is the lease agreement. The Historical Society came from the county building commissioners. So there is some wording in there that relates to maintenance and who's responsible. So it's a combined thing. But
Yeah, and I'm not.
But you're right.
I'm not
who
trying
owns
to
it.
push this onto the building authority because in my mind, whether it's, no matter who owns it, the only source of funding we have to fix that is that money that was set aside. The reason I mentioned the building authority is because if it is in fact owned by the building authority, this becomes not just our decision. I would need to ask you to take this back to the building authority and see what they want to do.
In fact, I agree with you. I would propose or suggest that we need to spend a little time in executive session about acquisition and deacquisition of stuff. But I think the final decision there does relate to the building authority because of the bond. So I think it's going to take an executive session to talk about that with both, maybe jointly, I don't know, but at least each of us.
Yeah.
In fact, I've got some thoughts I need to talk about in the executive session.
And I think.
But you're right, we're at a real.
Oh, we're at a crossroads where we got to make a
Yes,
choice.
you're right, and I'm going to agree.
And I think in terms of deacquisition, I'm not sure that's an option because it is on the bonds.
Well, I know that's a legal question, but I don't
But
have
we'll
an
have,
answer either.
we can have that executive session, but the building authority needs to weigh in on
I
this.
agree with you, and I'd be happy to carry anything back to them on that, certainly.
That's all the good news I've got for
Yeah.
budgets. Okay, anything else on that?
Do we need to add anything for unusual zoning software into our amended budget? Or is it pretty much somewhere absorbed?
I think, Sandy, didn't we have money allocated going forward to replace? I was thinking we had to allocate about 100,000.
We made good.
Which turned out to be inadequate for what we were looking at. But if we can get this Q Public solution, and if it's adequate and we can get it for the price that we've been hearing, we'll actually be able to put money back.
Yeah.
So that'll be a good thing.
Yeah.
Okay, anything else?
I was thinking there was another budget amendment, but my mind's blank, I didn't write it down.
Sandy's got a hold of this stuff.
Yeah.
These are just latest and greatest.
The newest. Okay.
All right. Okay, getting into, we got a number of rezonings, but ideally, hopefully none of them are going to be real contentious. The first one.
Rewind.
Yeah, right. The first one is James Rose 9, R1 low density to A1 agricultural. I think they're looking for a 15-foot variance to build a garage.
No, sir.
I'm sorry.
No.
The double roll.
They're replacing that single line with double line.
Well, hang on here, Justin.
As soon as you turn it on.
If that's the case,
That's
every
number-
one of my notes is bad.
It's number 4, right?
Okay. All right, remove non-conforming status and replace single wide mobile home with double wide. Does that sound better? That's double wide. Okay. Okay. As I understand it, there was no opposition to this. Okay. And recommended approval. Y'all have any concerns with it?
I really don't.
Hang on, okay. In that case, I want to talk about number 5. Number 5 says on here, William Gordon and Charlene Hodgson.
Robertson?
Well, under tab 5 though, it's William and Charlene Robertson. Combined 400 acres and place in conservation. Are we looking at what's in Curly? Well, number 5 on the agenda is William Gordon and Charlene Hodgson. Revocable trust from R1 to A1. But under tab 5 is William and Charlene Robertson.
Well, it's
No,
Charlie
the
Hudson
second line
Robertson.
covers that.
Okay, under William Gordon, Charlene Hodgson. Okay, so this is, okay, so I'm back on track. Number 4 was the only one I was off. Okay, combine the 400 plus acres and place in conservation. Are there any concerns with that one?
I didn't look reasonable.
And they actually have 2 tracts that adjoin the 400-acre tract where they live. The one was already zoned ag and then the one was not. So in order to put them both in the 400 tract, there was no opposition to it.
All right. All right, number 6, Liliana Romero and Jamie Vasquez. Put a second residence on the property without splitting the property. I was a little surprised that there was no opposition and unanimous vote for approval.
And I think the reason for that is if you'll look at the shape of the property, it goes into a point on one end and it's wide on the other end, but the lighting has the mobile home that's already there. And they want to use the other section of the property to put the second home. And it would be very difficult for them to meet setbacks. They would be having to come for a variance, so, you know, if this just seemed like a more logical solution.
Okay. Well, and as recall on here, there was no opposition.
There was some comment or question about the acreage. We don't have an acreage requirement for a second home or
Not yet.
not
That's
yet.
what's under consideration.
That's in the new
Yes.
proposed, but not in the current.
Correct.
So they're within,
As it's adopted now, they're within the parameters of being able to make this application on that 3 acres and asking for an agricultural designation.
it would, separate from us, that's a question for the health department.
They would be subject to
About that.
approval from them before we would issue a permit.
So we should make this contingent or not on
Well, they won't get past me if they don't get their permit from septic, so I mean, it's just really, if you approve it, it won't make any difference.
And honestly, it really shouldn't be contingent, because irrespective, if they meet the district requirements for that district, I mean, the proposed use is what they intend to do, but they.
You're right, you're right.
You know, they may still just want the agriculture, and then the day after y'all approve it, decide that we don't want to
You're
put
right.
that second home on there.
Yeah. So this will conform with our current approved ordinance, so we're good. I'm good with it.
Okay, 7 and 8 kind of go together. The first one is to separate a residential well from commercial property. And 8 is to combine the home and the well tract. And I believe the only real question was whether or not there was county water available.
There is.
Okay.
Yeah, we had one more issue with the parcel that, or the survey that had come in originally, because Mr. Masters had told the surveyor that there was an 80-foot right of way on Yukon at that point, but it was actually 100 foot. So they had to go back and redo the survey with that and then setbacks and all that put on it, and it made a little bit of a difference in the amount of acreage you needed to give to make the 1 acre total. So, and part of that came out of this commercial tract.
Right.
So
Okay.
let me understand, they have water, public water available, and we're rezoning to separate a well
Not separate, adjoin.
from the commercial.
Well, the well is currently on the commercial property, is the way I
No.
read this. No?
Yeah, it is. The
And
tax
we're gonna
assessor's map
split
is not
that out.
correct.
Split the well portion off the commercial and add it to the residential.
Yes.
If I have public water, what's the well?
Well, it
Used
just
for.
goes with the house.
The way that was done back in probably 2006, it probably shouldn't have been done that way, because it put that commercial up here and a long commercial track down here. And there's really no way other than the point of the two properties coming together. So it's to that community benefit to get that commercial out of there and change it back to what it's really its use R2.
He didn't want to survey out an acre and a half. He just wanted to give him 1 acre or sell him 1 acre. And in order to do that, he wound up going into that commercial tract, so 0.15 acres to have a total of 1.
Understand, but just,
It's
So this is not about the use of the well.
Uh-uh.
This is
No,
just-
he intends to hook to county water.
all right,
It's more about
all right.
getting an acre.
Yeah, that was the thing. He had to have an acre to qualify for R2.
Yeah, it's kind of a 3 steps to make one change.
It was, yeah.
Okay, I can see.
Okay, 9 and 10, or go together too.
I didn't look, I think.
I'm just not in
Well,
total.
it's different. Sorry.
Okay,
Yeah, that's different.
so it looks like they're rezoning from commercial to residential R1 and then combining properties, and they will be living on the combined
Yes,
parcel.
homestead.
And I believe there was no opposition to this one.
No, no.
Y'all have any concerns about that? Okay. All right, 11. William and Susan Edmondson from R1 residential residency to R1 conditional use. As I understand it, there is a cabin on the site now. They want to build a new home and use the cabin as a guest house.
Yeah, they have septic approval from Andrea already, and, the cabin's 380 square feet. So, I mean, it's just a little hunting cabin.
Yeah.
And they wanna live on the property, we just have that for this.
Okay. I don't have a problem with it myself.
I don't know.
All right, number 12. Belly Gang, LLC. From C1 commercial to R1 residential low density. Says conform zone to use.
This is one of those contingency requests. They have a buyer that will only follow through if it's where they can live there in the house.
Okay. Is there any commercial establishment or anything on this? Just
No, it's just a home that was used for commercial purposes.
Gotcha.
If it was a dentist office or some sort of a real estate agency or something.
So they just want to live on it?
Yeah, it is a house and it was just used for commercial purposes.
And personally, I don't have a problem with it.
So they're just splitting that current acreage in,
Well, it'll stay a 16-acre tract.
but they are creating a new, or is it already been created as a new parcel, but it was left commercial?
Yeah.
Okay, I was thinking that these two combined together.
No, that was just one tract.
Yeah.
Okay, 13, LLC, R1 residential low density, A1 agricultural. And these folks want to raise horses and have weddings and events.
Well, as I understand it, this one, 13, is to go agriculture, and then actually the conditional use
It's 14.
is 14, which is the weddings, right? And I really don't have any problem with 13. To make it agriculture. But I do have some questions on the conditional use coming up.
I believe there was some question regarding the narrow road.
Yeah, some of the residents were concerned about Old North Cut. And at the point where the county maintenance ends is the point where they're going to be entering into the property. So it's county maintained up until that point, and then beyond that, it's not. They had also suggested or asked if it would be possible for them to access the pavilion through the commercial track that's the 15th one on the list. But Shannon said that it's straight up. It would just be very, very, very difficult to put road in there to access the pavilion.
And that would be from entering from 515.
The only problem I see with the application for 13 to make it agriculture is you're sticking it in the middle of a non, you're close to agriculture, but you're not.
Yeah,
You're
there's
in the
several
middle
parcels in
of commercial
between.
and residential, but I'm not sure that those are really residential use. Most of that is pretty undeveloped.
Well, I don't believe there was anybody really opposing this, was there?
Not the agricultural use, I mean, they obviously had no issue with them having horses and that sort of thing on property.
I didn't notice anything in the minutes of the meeting where there was any opposition to the wedding events.
There was relative to
There were,
traffic.
well, there were
safety.
questions, but it said there were questions, but not necessarily opposition.
I would characterize it as opposition.
Yeah, I know.
Listening to it, I think I didn't get that exactly out of the minutes either, but I think listening to their comments, it was not, well, it was a
They were concerned.
concern, heavy concern. Now, I will admit, and not admit, but it also was brought up to Jim Smith, and Jim indicated he didn't see any issues.
So I think,
Did he not indicate that with the
Yeah,
road?
after he went back and looked at it, he said he didn't feel like it was wide enough to accommodate passing traffic.
my question is, so I went out there and drove it. The part where it says the county does not maintain anymore, that little road that goes up, the people that would access this event space would not go there, correct? So they would turn off and go from there onto the,
Yeah. Yeah, 'cause,
so up until there, the road is decent.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
if they were gonna
it's-
go that narrow road, that was.
Yeah, it'd be a little difficult depending on what you're driving, even on the regular part, the maintained part, but not impossible.
If they are expecting that road to be improved, they probably have a false expectation.
Oh, yeah, there's no way to get there right away without a plan.
Well, we would-
You know, so the-
If by improved, you mean the county improved, we
Right.
wouldn't do that to sole business didn't have a fence anyway.
I know, but if there was a safety issue, we may be forced into something.
I think if there's a safety issue, we just decline the request, because we can't.
Well, that
We
is-
can't go
that
out
is-
and start improving the
Right.
roads for people,
Right,
because they don't have a fence.
right, exactly.
And you can't condition your approval on them making those infrastructure repairs. And that's kind of like the development of subdivisions that y'all have been talking about, is requiring that infrastructure to be, those infrastructure costs to be borne by the developer. So, I don't know, that's a consideration that you may. Y'all saw the road, you've seen the road, Dallas, have you been out there to see it?
I have, but not actually before this, but not relative to this particular application. I did not get back out there.
There's some aspects to this, legal kind of aspects to this, that I think we need to make a discussion in special session, not special session, executive session. What I would say is, for number 13, let's just kind of pass on that for right now. Because I have some legal questions, potential lawsuit type questions I need to ask.
Okay. Yeah, so there's a threat of litigation.
So then, okay, just we'll hold that for now, and we'll do a quick executive session.
Will we, for both 13 and 14 together? Or am I looking at the right?
Personally, I'm fine with 13.
I am too.
There's 14 that I was
Okay.
used to help, and I think I said 13 a while ago, but
Okay. I'm with you.
Okay, 15. Same folks, combined with the Jackson crossover.
Do you have the plats in there? I think I sent y'all copies of plats.
Yeah.
Because basically what they're doing or proposing to do is split that commercial tract into two pieces, a 6 acre that fronts 515 and a 9-point-something acre that they want to combine with the acres they're cutting out with the house on the bigger tract. And so that would make the house and the 9 acres about 16, 17 acres with the house and buffering. And then there would be 17 acres with the pavilion. Then there's a 2 acre cutout around this little second home that's not showing up, but it has been recorded. And then the 6 acre tract that fronts 515 would use that decel lane and ingress and egress 40-foot easement that comes on both sides of that decel lane. So they do have access into that piece and they wouldn't need DOT approval.
Are we sure that that easement is not just for utilities?
It says ingress, egress, and
It
utilities.
does, for sure.
Yeah, you remember I printed you out that copy of the plan?
Right, right.
It had ingress and egress on it. And it went on both sides of that.
Put that in.
But the way this looks to me, number 15, we could approve it no matter what happens on 13, 14,
Yeah.
15.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because it's already R1 right now, and if it didn't change, then.
So on that basis, I don't have a problem with 15.
I don't really concern myself, or have a concern with 13 or 15.
Okay, next item will be appointment of a member to the Board of Health. Mary Louise Fuller is retiring and will be resigning from the Board of Health. And to fill the interim portion of her term, they are requesting Tracy Wells to be appointed.
I'm good with that, Charlie.
Okay, the next item,
When you say interim, you just mean the
remaining portion,
Okay,
yes.
gotcha.
17 we've pretty much covered. And 18, we really need either Jim here or Joe Mays.
Yeah.
So what I'll need to do is find out what Jim's situation is. If he's gonna be here tomorrow night, we can discuss this.
Yeah, I don't quite understand that. We need a discussion.
Otherwise, we need to see if Joe Mays can give us a rundown on it.
Did we plan on doing that? Is that considered a capital item?
This is all being done with FFA grants. FFA? FAA, one of them FAs.
We'll take FFA.
Yeah,
If they have any.
yeah, the FFA just didn't ring through there. Okay,
I'm
But
sorry,
anyway,
I thought I had my
they-
mind set on number 19, but yeah. We need to talk
Well-
about 18 and 19, probably.
19, I can give you some information.
Okay, that's good.
We have, I know you're familiar with the buried fuel tanks.
Yeah.
For a long time, one of them was defective in some manner. And there was another tank that was purchased, and it kind of sat above ground for a while, and ultimately was buried. In the process of burying it, there were some issues that came up that prevented us from going ahead and using environmental issues. So we continued to use the arrangement we have now where we get it at the station and get our fuel at the station rather than filling those underground tanks. Over the last few years, it has become apparent that underground fuel tanks are nothing but a disaster in the making, either currently or in the not real distant future. They're going to be heavy. So the future plan that I had in mind was that at some point, if we ever decide we want to go back to large fuel tanks, that we simply have above ground tanks similar to what we have out at the airport. And we don't get into all this below ground stuff. Now, we got a letter of violation from EPD about a month ago that was related to not renewing licenses for those underground tanks. And our response to that was, we would close those underground tanks and we're not using them anymore. And their response to that is, until you close them with EPD, they are not closed. So, we decided, okay, fine, what do we need to do to close them? And this is where this contract with Ballman Services comes in. You're aware of how difficult it is, for instance, to close a landfill. Well,
Impossible, probably better.
pretty much impossible on landfill. I don't know that it's going to be impossible for these underground tanks, but it is going to be. There are EPD guidelines that we're gonna have to abide by. We're gonna have to pull soil samples, for analysis, if the analysis shows that there's been leakage, then we're gonna have to get into, trying to repair that. And
So you won't be
then-
removing inventory? You're not gonna take them out?
Oh, yeah, yeah, we're taking them out, but just taking them out doesn't do the trick. Once they're gone, then we have to do soil analysis to see if they've been leaking over the years. If they have been, then we've got to do some sort of reparations with it. We've got to, there's any number of things you can dig all that soil out, send it off, let it be treated, bring it back, put it back in. There's other solutions. That's what this all wind services specializes in. So the bottom line is to stay in EPD's good graces. We have to close this facility, remove those tanks, close it according to EPD guidelines, and get a final blessing from them that, okay, fine, everything's great now and it's closed. That's gonna be a process. You think we're trying to build a well at the golf course and stuff?
Yeah, exactly.
So,
Can we just declare it a brown field, is that the term, brown field? And then go get a grant to clean up a brown field area like we need to do down in another place in the city? We can't just declare it contaminated and leave it.
my concern would be we get it declared contaminated and wouldn't qualify for brownfield, and we would be in real
Then we'd
trouble.
have a double problem. We couldn't use it, we couldn't do anything with it.
Then get it closed.
Well, that's what the Oilman Services contract will be for.
Gotcha. And that does include removal of
Well, it'll include,
piping and other tank and all that stuff, but not the soil. Yeah, am I correct?
actually, it's not a flat rate. We're not gonna know what it's gonna cost us until they get in there and see what they can do. It does for sure include removal and disposition of tanks. But there's no way to go beyond that, what's gonna have to be done.
And you don't know what the EPD is going to come up with. So.
And it's not something that we want to venture into on our own against EPD, so.
And this is on the airport.
Well,
No, this is located at
Road
Park.
This is that.
and I would say we have a high risk problem here because we are close to the river and no problems. But we don't have any fuel in any of those. Now, do we?
There's about, I think they said there was 11 inches of fuel in the new tank. And as I recall, that was essentially put in there as a test when it was first installed. There should be no fuel in the other one. I'm just hoping that's because we pulled it all out, not because it's leaked out. So,
I think they have, I think they have some more that.
this is one of those things that we can bite the bullet real hard right now or really pay.
Well, we need to get that out of there. There's no doubt. I agree.
Okay. If y'all don't have anything else, we have a couple of quick executive session items. So I would make a motion that we enter executive sessions with no action. We take
Second.
all in favor? Aye. All right, folks, we appreciate it. Hey, John, did you have to tell her about Milton?
You're welcome.
Plead the fifth. Plead the fifth. Completely innocent.